Alrighty, hello. I'm going to get this in real fast before it gets dark outside. Making sure I want to let you know exactly what is going on for the final exam for the HL people. Number one, Kellogg-Briand Pact. What you need to understand about the Kellogg-Briand Pact is this is what goes in and makes war illegal. This is going to be important because it's going to be setting up that kind of alliance system we're going to be seeing in World War II, particularly with the United States and Great Britain. Even though when Great Britain gets involved in the war, the United States is going to stay out, but Roosevelt makes that quote, remember, saying the United States is, they're neutral militarily, but in conscience, they are not neutral. They are definitely supporting the British, opposed to Nazi Germany, Italy, and then later on Japan. So make sure you understand the significance of the Kellogg-Briand Pact. American isolationism. Americans are kind of just like, hey, you do your stuff, we'll do our stuff, and we're not going to get involved really at all. This is not necessarily an official policy. It's not something that Americans have to do, that the United States has to do. I'm tired. It's been a late night. It's not even that late already. You just deal with it. Been a long week. Okay, but a lot of people in the United States don't want to get involved in what's happening in other countries. So a lot of people are going to be opposed to the Kellogg-Briand Pact because they're looking at it like this is a European issue. We're not involved with that. We are the United States of America. We are not a part of this crap going on over in Europe. We're going to do ourselves, you're going to do your stuff, and life is going to be good. So talk a little bit about the significance of American isolationism, some of the problems that are going to be arising as a result of that. Talking about impact of financial hardships for the United States, be able to look at the Great Depression. The United States runs out of money. The United States is loaning a lot of money to Germany to make sure that Germany is going to be okay, because the Treaty of Versailles kind of hurt them. It's like kicking a kid who's already fallen down. Just keep kicking him over and over and knock out all those teeth, and then you might as well just kill his family for the heck of it. That's pretty much how the Treaty of Versailles is treating Germany. The United States is kind of helping them out, but as soon as the Great Depression happens, the United States has no more money to really lend because they're out of money themselves. Now they've tripped and fall down the stairs, so to speak. So that's going to cause the United States to turn even more isolationist. We're going to fix our problems before we worry about what's going on with you. It's like when your friend's having a bad day and comes complaining, you're like, you know what? I get that you're having a bad day, but my dog just died and this just happened. So why don't you just worry about yourself and let me worry about me? That's kind of what's going to be happening right about here. So talk about some of that significance. The Lend-Lease policy by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. This is when Roosevelt's going to be sending money, lending and leasing military supplies to Great Britain and letting them use them to help deter the Nazis. This, again, a lot of people are going to be like, hey, we're isolationists. That's their problem, not our problem. However, Roosevelt's going to be saying that by doing this, we're kind of investing in our own safety too, because we're just giving them some money, giving them some supplies. They're dealing with all the bad stuff, and we're just kind of reaping the benefits over here. The good neighbor policy is another one that you want to be able to talk about. Remember, the good neighbor policy, FDR, when he comes into office, he's going to extend kind of a kind gesture to Central America, because historically the United States has not been the kindest of neighbors to the Central American countries. He's going to say kind of like, you know what, we're going to respect your independence. You can do your own thing. We're not going to keep telling you what to do, at least during my administration. We'll talk about that other stuff later on. But talking about kind of the significance and the impact of why it's good to be helping other countries out, why the United States is doing this, investing in their own security down the road. We're going to see this during World War II, when Britain is going to eventually automatically basically be aligned with the United States and actively support the United States in their war effort, and the Americans are going to actively support the British in their war effort. But also, as soon as the Pearl Harbor attack happens, virtually every country in Central America is going to immediately join and actively fight with the United States against Japan and against Germany. The rationale behind the Pearl Harbor attack, it was not just some random attack out of the blue where the Japanese just said, hey, let's mess with some American boats. It was the fact that the United States had been kind of antagonizing the Japanese for a while, trying to stop Japanese imperialist aggressions and then embargoing oil on Japan. Japan felt like they had no option. They can go pop out the Americans real darn fast. The Americans then are going to have no navy to stop them from oil hopping. Also, it's kind of a nice way of getting a little bit of revenge. If someone takes everything that you really kind of like, it's like if you really are wanting a nice big thing of donuts and some little kid comes in and steals your donuts, you want your donuts back, but even if you don't get your donuts back, it would feel pretty good to punch that kid straight in the face. And that's kind of how Japan's feeling right now. In this instance, the United States is going to be that little fat kid stealing the donuts, and the donuts are going to represent Japanese oil that they definitely want. Talk about racism and sexism. Black America's Double War was the reading I gave you on this one. So being able to look at the fact that the United States is having African Americans fight for them in segregated units. They're not fighting necessarily right next to other people who are white. They're going to be either in segregated units, or they're going to be the cooks and the janitors, the ones who are doing all the hard labor and not actually fighting. Also talk about racism with Japanese. Okay, the Americans are kind of, let's just put it nicely, very incredibly racist towards the Japanese as a result of the attack on Pearl Harbor with the Internment Camps Executive Order 9066, which we'll talk about in just a few minutes. Talk about some of the impact of racism right through there, and Native Americans with Navajo Codetalkers as well, some of that racism. And then women. Women are not going to be serving in active combat duty. However, they're going to be working in the military as nurses primarily. They're also going to be taking a lot of the jobs in the factories in the cities that the men are going to have to be leaving when they're going to go off to fight. So the men are going to leave, the women are going to move into some of those industrial jobs. Again, they're not treated the same way as the men would be treated. They're going to be treated paid less. And then once the war is over, most of them are just going to simply lose their job. Again, this is even going to be worse for African American women. White women often would say, I'm not working next to an African American girl, and they would not get hired, or they would be put in a different way, put in a different part of the company, or they're going to be paid much, much worse. To be able to talk about some of that sexism and that racism. Executive Order 9066. This is the one that's going to take Japanese Americans on the West Coast and move them to the middle of the country in internment camps. Okay, not concentration camps. Concentration camps are for killing. Concentration, killing. Focus on that way you can remember it like that. So internment camp, going to take Japanese Americans and put them into this camp because the thought process was that these people could be very sensitive to the Japanese cause, probably aren't going to want to fight against Japan because that's their former country or the country of their heritage. So we might as well just take away their civil liberties and lock them up into a camp, not really treating them like citizens. And that's exactly what is going to be happening. Japan, or the United States, is going to be doing this. Canada is also going to be doing this. So it's not a totally American thing. They were treated decently for the most part. However, they were taken with their civil rights totally taken away, thrown into a camp, forced to live in that camp, and taken advantage of because of their heritage. Lastly, the Navajo Codetalkers. Now, the Navajo Codetalkers, in order to understand this, you need to understand that when you are in battle, you need to be able to get over the radio real fast and communicate with someone who's far away to make sure you are on the same page. If you need something, you better be calling in supplies quick. You need to make sure that you're speaking in code so the other side does not know what you are saying. The issue is that the Germans and the Japanese are pretty good at cracking this code, so it's going to be hard for the Americans to figure something out. So they're going to implement the Navajo Codetalkers. Now, the Navajo Codetalkers are Native Americans from the Navajo Reservation. Is what they do is they speak Navajo. Now, Navajo is a language that is only spoken on the Navajo Reservation. No one will know it if you are not from the Navajo Reservation. It is also a 100% oral language. It is not written down. So it's not like someone can all of a sudden learn Navajo if you're not on the reservation. They're going to be using this code to allow quick communication back and forth, and it's going to end up saving a number of American lives during the war, a number of Allied lives during the war. Now, these Native Americans, when they come back, are going to be treated horribly once again. Native Americans were not considered citizens up until about the 1960s, which is way too recent for a group of people not to be considered citizens in the United States, or really anywhere for that matter. But they're going to make a major, major difference in the war effort. That is going to be all for the extra HL stuff. You just kind of explain the significance, which I've done in a very quick fashion right through here. Questions, comments, please, oh please, oh please, get them to me as quick as humanly possible. Shoot me an email, pop into my classroom. If I'm going to be stuck into my classroom, I'll be happy to help you on that one. Otherwise, you're going to do fine. Take a deep breath, smile, get some sleep. I'll see you later.